Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, my friend, I should say brother, Irungu, for that very generous introduction. And the good thing is that you didn't call me doctor or professor, because oftentimes I get introduced as such when I'm not. So that's great. That testifies to the length of our friendship. I also see many friends here, many familiar faces as well, and I'm very, very pleased, and I feel privileged and honored to stand before you this morning to reflect with you on a very important topic, the topic of institutional coherence and ecosystem alignment, particularly in philanthropic sector. This is definitely not a theoretical issue, concept, but it is really a practical necessity for effective and impactful philanthropic efforts. So our goal today, or the goal as I understood it for me, is to actually share with you thoughts about how a harmonious environment where philanthropic institutions and ecosystems can work together seamlessly, fostering collaboration, resilience, and long-term success. But to do that, I think it is important to sort of first align on the concept. How do we understand them? And to me, when we talk about institutional coherence in philanthropy, we can refer to the alignment and integration of policies, practices, and goals across various philanthropic organizations and initiatives to achieve impact. Why is this important? Why is it crucial? First of all, because it prevents fragmentation and duplication of efforts. Because when organizations in general, not just philanthropic institutions, build coherence, they can leverage on each other's strengths, leading to more effective and efficient outcomes. You can consider the alignment between foundations, nonprofits, and communities. The first speaker spoke about the community organizations, the communities themselves, working towards a common goal, and what actually they can achieve. Irungu talked about Oxfam. One of the probably most successful coherence building that I have seen is Oxfam, particularly Oxfam International, because Oxfam was not an institution. When you take the first one, Oxfam Famine Relief Committee that formed in Oxford, it's not a growth that was organic, meaning duplicating and creating other Oxfams in other countries. But it's different existing institutions, such as Intermon in Spain, or Novib in the Netherlands, or Agir ici in France, and you can name the list, actually, that decided to espouse the vision, the principles, the policies and of the original Oxfam, and align together to become one organization through Oxfam International that actually had developed a shared goal, shared policies, and even a common global strategy, etc. And what that has actually working on three things: just policy, because policy is at the root cause of inequalities and poverty, save lives, and actually support long-term development. That was the same goals through the same strategy for 15 different organizations coming from different countries. And their coming together and building that coherence was not just sharing the same name, but it's actually aligning themselves into a common objective, a common goal, and a common results framework. And this is why actually all of us know Oxfam, because it has been extremely influential, was able to raise significant resources, be present in over 120 countries, and deploying over 5,000 staff, close to even, I think it was around 8,000, then close to 10,000 staff across the world doing that. And the impact actually it has done is actually, many of us are aware of that. But working on very important issues such as the Make Trade Fair campaign, looking at how do you address the root cause of poverty through making global fair trade rules actually more fair. Or you can talk about many other examples. For instance, achieving the Global Convention on Small Arms Control at the African Union, at some regional institutions, but also at actually the United Nations, which had an impact because it has contributed to reducing conflicts actually across Africa. Because at that time, with the circulation of small arms, in every corner of Africa, there were conflicts and all of that. Those are the kind of impacts that you can have, not just at the level of a community or a country or even a continent, but even a global actually level when you have that coherence. But that is a coherence. I don't pretend to know in detail all philanthropy, but I haven't seen that kind of alignment actually in philanthropy yet. However, we can talk about certain alignments around initiatives or programs that we have seen that have worked. And this is actually one of the examples that I bring and which I was personally involved on is, for instance, the Partnership for Inclusive Agricultural Transformation in Africa, the PIATA, whereby actually several organizations, philanthropic organizations, worked with government agencies, particularly bilaterals, but also multilaterals, to come together through common goals and common shared results framework to support one of the leading institutions in agricultural transformation in Africa, which is AGRA, and putting together over $500 million to support the vision and work of AGRA in several countries. That has been renewed one time more, so 2 times, 5 years. And last night, the final report of that PIATA was actually being submitted. Because what? That's where actually power comes into the mix. Because one of the leading members of this PIATA, actually, which was USAID, as you know the story. So where politics and others come to that sort of coherence and alignment. And most of the bilaterals, actually, European bilaterals, that were part of this PIATA, which was really transformative, actually, today also, are not looking at committing in the future because of foreseen or already decided reduction on their contribution to global development. But that calls for more responsibility for instance, also African-grown, African-based, also philanthropic institutions, how they can come and join these common initiatives and build actually their resilience. Then I want to talk also about ecosystem alignment, which involves more coordination and collaboration among various stakeholders within the philanthropic ecosystems, including donors, non-profits, government agencies, and communities. It's really about creating a network where each entity supports and enhances the others. What do we benefit from that? Why is this also important? Because this fosters innovation by bringing together diverse perspectives and expertise. It also allows for the sharing of information and resources, reducing costs and increasing efficiency. It can also enable collective problem solving, making it easier to address complex social challenges. So some of the example you can take very much in, for instance, disaster relief, where you can see different organizations coming together, some playing different roles, others looking at security, others looking at protection, others looking at providing food, etc., and in a coherent way. That's where we have seen mostly where different institutions actually and stakeholders align to address a particular problem we can see. Perhaps we can also talk about another example, which is the Global Fund for HIV/AIDS, for instance, and other diseases, where actually we have seen big philanthropies, multilaterals and bilaterals actually come together, and non-profits actually coming together to address one issue, one disease, which was global, which was HIV/AIDS, created institutions, channeled resources, both at global but also all the way to community level, actually, to significantly reduce today the impact of HIV/AIDS. So I think that when we talk about really coherence and alignment, I think really the picture is clear. But what strategies, what do we need to do actually to build that coherence and achievement in philanthropy? I would say the first one to me is three things: communication, collaboration, policy integration, and technology plays a role. Let me talk about each of them. To me, the foundation of coherence and alignment is communication. It's open and transparent communication. The institutions and ecosystem stakeholders should, I believe, establish regular channels for regular dialogue and information sharing. That will contribute, actually, understanding what each others do, and then being able to identify how do I add value, how do I come into the mix, not just bringing an additional voice, but actually bringing value based on my unique, skills, competencies, or whatever that I bring into it. So that is extremely important. Second, I believe that collaboration, encouraging collaboration efforts and partnership is also essential. This can be achieved through joint projects, for instance, with shared goals, as I said, and mutual support. Joint projects may mean actually co-financing, parallel financing, etc. There are so many ways this can be done actually to support one bigger goal together and collaborate. But with that, what will be very important is actually the commitment by the different stakeholders to be accountable for that and to accept to be influenced by whatever the results of what we are working together is actually coming to be. Policy integration is also an important strategy where policies should be designed to promote coherence and alignment. And this includes creating regulations and incentives that support collective goals and discourage actually siloed thinking. Technology can play an important role because in facilitating that alignment. Digital platform, for instance, can enable collaboration and data sharing, while advancing analytics can help identify areas of improvement and measure actually progress. Finally, I want to talk about some of the challenges and what are potential solutions, and then I will conclude. To me, achieving institutional coherence and ecosystem alignment in philanthropy actually, of course, has many challenges, and common obstacles actually include resistance to change, resource constraints, and conflicting interests. So to overcome these, we need a multifaceted approach. And I believe that leadership commitment is essential to drive change and set the tone for collaboration. And when we talk about leadership, it's not leadership at large. I believe that one of the biggest impediment actually into that alignment is the weak or the lack of sometimes those soft skills and the vision beyond own organization or own team, but actually looking at developing this capacity actually to lead in your ecosystem and recognizing that for whatever goals that you might have as an organization, you cannot achieve them without broader alignment, broader partnership, and that requires specific skills, important skills to be able to lead in the ecosystem that you are working in. This is why at ACBF, actually we have developed since last year, and our first cohort of 90 senior leaders in government in the PFM, Public Finance Management ecosystem, are graduating next week. This includes Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and Zimbabwe, where 15 senior leaders in government, when I say 15 leaders in government, I mean people from director and above, those who are effectively actually in charge of leading reforms. We understand, our assessment shows that actually the technical knowledge is there. And when you talk to many, for instance, my experience in the private sector is that private sector doesn't necessarily look at always technical skills for hiring people, because they believe that the technical skills that you require for the job can be built. But what is much more difficult and more long-term is actually your soft skills and others. And when we talk about those soft skills, it's really about those leadership. And this program called LEAPS, Leadership Excellence in African Public Sector, actually looks at different modules, leading self, leading team, leading organization, but I always insist in the two modules, the first and the last one, which is leading self and leading in the ecosystem. So leadership is going to play a very important role in actually addressing, overcoming that kind of challenge. Capacity building, I just talked about it, but also alignment is not something that can be decreted, if that is an English word, because this is a francophone here speaking. It's not by decree that you create that. It is something that you build through trust, that you nurture. It's not a transactional relationship. It takes time. This is why some adaptive approaches can help in building and nurturing that over time. Many of us say always we are tired of pilot projects, but pilot projects is a very good adaptive, actually, strategy for building that alignment. Or phased approach of common projects, and also adapt those actually of implementation actually. Those allow actually to gradually build the alignment and allows the different stakeholders to adjust to each other, right? So those are things that we can think about bringing in terms of addressing those challenges of actually lack of information, lack of resistance to change, etc. So basically, I will conclude because I see Irungu already standing to say, actually, I think that it takes really each of us to take a proactive step towards fostering coherence and alignment in your philanthropic endeavors. By working together, we can create a future where our institutions and ecosystems are not just aligned, but are thriving in harmony. So I'm confident that with our collective efforts, we can build bridges that lead to effective and impactful philanthropy. I do thank you for allowing me to talk to you. Thank you.